Critics are actually cleared things up however you want to see it. Here's the first quote of many that we're going to break down today. I did want to be a part of at least the 2 friendlies. I did speak with the coaches and I asked if I wanted to be part of the team in whatever capacity I could. And they said no. They said they only want one roster. That's the coach's decision and I fully respect that. I didn't understand it, but it is what it is. I wanted to be a part, and he continues to say of that. But that's just the way things went. I had to make the best decision for myself and in the long run for my team, even though clearly some people haven't seen it that way. So he obviously wants to clear up the situation because what we were told publicly from Matt Crocker, U.S. Soccer, was a little bit different here, Shaq. In that statement, in that context, we didn't hear what Christian Pulisic actually said, that he wanted to be a part of these 2 friendlies. But what stood out to you the most about what we are starting to talk about now with Pulisic?
Well, I find the fact that Pulisic has to come out and answer these criticisms in the way that he has a little bit ridiculous. Kind of given a lot of the discussions we've had around player fatigue, around how extended the schedules have been and the demands that are being asked on today's players. And the results of that, we spoke about Rodri's injury, Carvajal, the list continues. Christian Pulisic is very much a part of that, given his exertions in European football with AC Milan, and then wanting to be a part either of the friendlies or the Gold Cup, and having conversations with either Mauricio Pochettino or the wider coaching staff, and having to have some of those private conversations now be made public in an effort to defend himself against attacks that I think are unwarranted. And certainly, as a player, I fully sympathize with. And I think all ex-players sympathize with. You want to play, but sometimes the demands are just that you feel it's best for yourself not to. And I have first-hand experience in this. I broke my leg back in 2000 at a time in a very simple, innocuous challenge, but I'd been feeling exhausted. I was traveling back and forth to Trinidad and Tobago, playing internationals, and I started to really feel drained. But the footballer in me said, one more game, I can get to this weekend. And then, as it would happen, I was actually playing one more game before flying off to the Gold Cup. This is when the Gold Cups used to be played in January into February. I had my bags in the car to go to the airport to fly directly to LA for the Gold Cup, get this challenge 4 minutes into a game, break my leg, I'm out 6 to 8 months. Now, if Christian Pulisic goes down at any time in the next couple of months and he's out for 6 to 8 months, we'll be having a very different conversation. Yeah. Why didn't he say? And now he has to come out and make, as I said, some of these private conversations be made public because he's being accused of things that he shouldn't be from people who should know a whole lot better.
Herc, I know we've talked about it a lot on here. One of the things that Pulisic said that stood out to me was that he not only listened to his body, but he listened to his mind. Yeah. And he's actually doing really well right now and seems to be obviously very happy with the decision. But what do you make of this clarification?
Rainbow Six Siege X. Get free access now.
I could not be more spot on with what Shaka started out by saying. The fact that Christian Pulisic needs to come out and address this tells you everything you need to know about this situation. I tweeted out earlier that he drew a line in the sand, just like Pochettino in U.S. Soccer drew a line in the sand. It was Pochettino, U.S. Soccer, Matt Crocker, who wanted people to know that Christian Pulisic, it's his decision that he's not coming. When they speak and give interviews, who did Mauricio Pochettino give an interview to? It was a podcast. Tim Howard, Landon Donovan. So now you have Christian Pulisic saying the Federation drew their line, and these players who were given access to the manager of the U.S. men's national team speaking out against Christian Pulisic, and there's a narrative that Christian Pulisic is weak. There's a narrative that Christian Pulisic is selfish. that he's looking out for himself, that he doesn't have pride, that he doesn't care about the national team. And he sees and he hears and he sees how bad the U.S. men's national team is. He decides, I have to talk. I have to speak. And in speaking, I think he comes out worse. He comes out worse himself. He makes U.S. soccer look bad. It's a dumpster fire right now. The man has played 114 games in 2 seasons. 114 games in 2 seasons. We just saw Alphonso Davies tear his ACL in a meaningless third place game against the United States after a very difficult season where physically and emotionally he was drained. Tear his ACL. And we're sitting here saying he doesn't want to play Gold Cup. He's the face of U.S. soccer. He's supposed to be a leader. How many Gold Cup editions has Christian Pulisic played in his life? He's played 1. 1 Gold Cup edition in his life. Why? Because U.S. soccer, they've not prioritized Gold Cup. Since they stopped doing confederations and they introduced Nations League, they pick 1 tournament a summer that they prioritize. It's not been Gold Cup. He's coming off a ridiculous season, okay? He's going to be on his 4th head coach now. He's had a hip issue, and he's not taking care of it. He asked for rest of the Gold Cup, not of the friendlies, because we were on this very same show and others on this network, and we were asking, why can't he play the first 2 friendlies? It seems he wanted to play the first 2 friendlies, and then he was denied that, which is fair. Which is fair for Pochettino if he feels he has to be here. I have no issue. My issue is the dumpster fire for the world to see that is U.S. soccer. It's a laughingstock for the world. Down south in Mexico, our A block today was on the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
People are laughing at the U.S. men's national team. This is a reflection of what U.S. soccer has been for the last 2-3 years. It is embarrassing.
Listen, when we talk about that single roster that Christian Pulisic had talked about, that Mauricio Pochettino said, which, by the way, Maui said it was just 1 phone call with Mauricio Pochettino, saying that he wanted to be a part of the 2 friendlies and that the message relayed to him was that he only needed 1 roster. To me, that sends a message that Pochettino is prioritizing the Gold Cup, which is a little bit concerning, and trying to maybe save a little bit of face. Before planning,
I don't agree with that.
Before planning for the World Cup, why not? If you want to have Christian Pulisic in these 2 friendlies and take advantage of his presence and build that relationship with your captain, with the Captain America, why waste that opportunity just because you want to have this single roster for Gold Cup?
I don't agree with that because I don't think this is about the Gold Cup. I don't think Pochettino is making the Gold Cup a priority. What he's making a priority is time with the team, whether it's called Gold Cup, whether it's called whatever you want to name the tournament.
Yep.
It's about having 3 to 4 weeks working with the squad. This is the last time he's going to have that amount of time before World Cup camp. This is what's really about. It's not about the Gold Cup. It's not about winning or losing the Gold Cup. It's about, we are a year out of the start of the World Cup, 364 days to be precise. And when Pochettino says, or hears from Christian Pulisic, listen, I only want to play the friendlies against Switzerland and Turkey, and then I want to go home and rest, Pochettino's like, it's not good enough. I need my best player around so that the rest of the squad that I'm going to have available, but because that's the other part of the equation, right? Maybe Christian Pulisic is saying, hey, the Juventus guys are not going to be there because they're playing Club World Cup, and then some of the guys are injured. Robinson is not going to be there because he's hurt, then I don't want to be a part of that.
You have realistically 9 starters who aren't here.
Correct. But this is not about Gold Cup. It's having the time to train with the players that you have available, yes, but with your best player in camp. My feeling is there's a reason why we never heard from U.S. Soccer or Pochettino that Pulisic had asked to play the 2 friendlies.
Right.
There's a reason why we didn't hear that. because the narrative would have been completely different. This is a lose, lose, lose situation. Nobody wins here. And again, 1 year out of the start of the World Cup, the U.S. probably right now is in worse shape, worse form